Hey guys, welcome back to this channel. If you are new, then welcome to this channel. Well, today we are going to learn some more interesting basics about Tkinter. It's all about radio button. In previous session, we already seen what is a check button. Have gone through some interesting functions over there. We know how to use string var. We know how to use int var. We also know how to use boolean var. So, similarly, we're going to use those three functions in radio button as well. First, let me tell you what is this radio button. When do we use this radio button? Simple. It's pretty simple and straightforward, and you guys already know like how do we use this radio button. Like we use this radio button when we want to select one thing from a particular choice. In that case, if that's the case, we're going to use this radio button. So similarly, we will use this radio button in Tkinter interface. If you want to create something like that, then yeah, at that time you can use this radio button. So in this session, we'll see what is a radio button. We already seen what is a radio button. We'll go through how to create a radio button, and I'm going to show that radio button in window, and I'm going to tell you some cool functions like how to manipulate the data from that radio button. Like how can we take that input from the user and how can we manipulate that. So here, in order to create a radio button, there is a method called radio button. There is a class, a radio button class. In that, you're going to pass this window as parameter, and you're going to give text equal to first. Then that means it's going to appear besides this radio button and value equal to 1. Let me tell you why we use this value equal to 1. For example, here we have a bunch of choices, right? In that, each and everything will be having a different value, right? When it comes to check button, you don't need any value, but when it comes to radio button, you need a value, because check button, I think you guys know the difference between check button and radio button. Check button is when you have multiple things to choose. In that case, you'll use check button. When you have only one thing to choose, when you have only one choice, one and only option, then in that case you have to use radio button. This value is the thing which changes the game of this difference between radio button and check button. I'll let you know how we use that. Okay, and once we created this radio button, we're going to place this. For that, I'm going to use grid geometry manager, because which is really simple to manage and place the things better. Okay, now are you guys ready to start coding with me? Then just open your favorite editor. For me, my favorite editor is VS Code editor. So yeah, let's start coding. So guys, in the previous session, we have seen like how do we create a check button. So now it's time to create a radio button. Okay, for that, let me delete this thing and keep this under comments, and keep this one also under comments, and let's create a radio button. Here, how do we create a radio button? By using the radio button class, right? So I'm gonna give a variable called rad or whatever, and I'm gonna give a radio button, and in that pass window as parameter, and give text equal to, for example, first for now, and give value as 1. And let's place this radio button. So radio dot grid, and give row as 0 and column as 0. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, cool, interesting radio button we have. And let's give some background color. Why? Because the background is really disgusting. So let me give background as background color. Let's see. Far more better, right? So here we have a cool, interesting radio button. Let us increase its font and change its color as well. Let's see how it looks. Okay. And let's give font equal to, let me give Plato, and let's give size 10. Let's see how it looks. I think a little bit difference, right? Let's give 15. Close and rerun. Yeah, it's looking better. Just to look better, I just gave 15. Okay, now we have a radio button, and if you click here, it's gonna select that value. I didn't give on and off, so for now it's gonna select. Okay, let's create 2 more buttons so that it exactly looks like a list of radio buttons. Okay, let me create 2 more buttons. Add 2, 2, and this will be second. And grab 3. Let's give this third. Let's rerun this one and let's see. Oh yeah, there's some problem with this grid because I just gave row equal to 0 and column equal to 0, and I gave the same place to the 3 of them. So because of them, they made actually a layer, so first, second and third. So let me change the positions, and this will be row will be 1, this will be 2. Let's see how it looks. Now these things are not gonna work for us. We have to let them work for us, and for that we have to write code. Let's write code then. So here we have 3 cool buttons. Okay, let's give value equal to 1 and value equal to 2 and value equal to 3. I think now you guys know how to use this value. If you don't give value equal to 1, 2, 3, it's going to select everything. If you give value equal to 1, value equal to 2, and value equal to 3, like if you change the values, then at the time it's going to work. Like you can select only one value. It's like these are nothing but the values. Values are the thing which are actually changing the game here. And if you give, for example, value equal to 1 and 1 here, and rerun this one, it's going to select everything. Yeah, it's gonna select everything, and this is the one which is unselected, and these are the 2 things which are actually selected. So value really plays a key role here. If you want to select only one button, you have to change the values. If you want everything to get selected, I think no one wants everything to get selected because we just need one single value from a bunch of choices, right? That's the actual main goal. You can just change the values from 1, 2, and 3. Oh yeah, if you select this one, in this way, this exactly works, okay? I hope you guys understood. As I said before, in the check button, we have 3 different methods, right? We have int var, we have boolean var, and we have string var. Similarly, we also have those 3 functions here, and I'll tell you why do we have, okay? First, let me create a function, and let me create a state or selected equal to int var. Let's give selected equal to int var. Select equal to int var, this is actually a method. And if you give variable equal to selected here in this radio button, so you're gonna do the same thing for all of them. And if you rerun this one, if I'm selecting the first radio button, I need the value of the first radio button. Like I want which value or which radio button user actually selected. How can we do that? For that, I'm just using int var. We also have 2 other things. We have string var and boolean var. I'll let you know how to do that. For now, just focus on this int var. How do we use this int var? We use this int var in order to get the input from the user. For example, I'm the user. I have these bunch of options here, first, second, and third. And if I select first, you want this value of this first button, which is 1, value equal to 1, right? In order to get this 1, what are we going to do is just create a variable called selected and give this int variable function and just give this selected here. Just assign the selected here, variable equal to selected, and write a function called get value or something like that. Get value, and just give result equal to selected target. This selected target, from where it will get, from this radio button, it's gonna get the value. So selected target, let me clear this mess. Result equal to selected target and just see whether it's working for us or not. Result. And let us see whether it is working for us or not. But before that, we have to call this function, right? Where are we going to call? We have to call this in each and every radio button. While clicking the user, we need the value, right? So just give command equal to get value. I'm gonna call this whenever user taps the radio button. So let's give command equal to get value and run this one. Okay, and if you call this one first, you guys can see 1 here, right? If I select third one, it's gonna give 3 as output, right? If I select second one, it's gonna give 2 as output. If I select 1, it's gonna give 1 as output. So in order to get the value that the user has selected from a bunch of radio buttons, and for that you can use this int var, okay? And I want this to be as a label, right? For that, what are we going to do is we already have a label, if I'm not wrong. Yes, we already have a label. I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this label and I'm going to put this here. And here we have a label, and let's give this a row as maybe 4. And here we have a result, right? Instead of printing it here, we can just give configure text equal to result. Let's see. And here we have some cool text. If I select first, it's gonna give 1, second, third. Okay, let me configure this a bit more. Let's give background color as white. And also font for Dana. Let's give 10. Yep. If I select 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Yeah. So in this way, int var exactly works. This int var gonna take just integers as values, and when it comes to boolean var, let's see how this one works. Let's give boolean here, boolean var, and if you rerun this one, let's see. One, two, only 1, 3. So it's gonna just give true, true, true as output, and this true is nothing but 1. Boolean var will just return boolean values as output, like it's gonna just return either true or false. So when it comes to radio button, while you're selecting whatever it is, if that's false, then that's gonna turn to true, right? So if that's the case, it's gonna return true. And I think boolean mostly works for if you have just 2 buttons, just true and false, then in that's the case, this is really useful, boolean var. If you give boolean var to more than 2 buttons, then it's gonna confuse us and you don't even know like which value the user is tapping. You'll just get true, true, true as output. For example, instead of this one, if you just give 2 buttons here, 2 radio buttons, and one is value and one is value 0, because boolean just accepts 2 values, which is 1 and 0, right? And if you rerun this one, and if you select first one, it's gonna give 1 as output. If you give second, it's gonna give 0. So which is nothing but false. Okay, boolean actually just takes 2 values as input, which is 0 or false. So if you have just 2 radio buttons, then in that case you can just use this boolean var. And here we also have a string var, which is nothing but it's gonna take everything into string. Though those are integers, it's gonna take those values to string. Okay, just give string var here. And if you fix everything, wait, and just give string var here, and if you rerun this one, if you select 1, 2, 3, there is no difference, right? Instead of text equal to first, second, third, let's give US, UK, Canada, so here we have 3 radio buttons with US, UK, and Canada, right? So, and instead of values in strings, like for example, you can just give, if the user tab this US button, I can just say girl coder in US. Okay, you can just say girl coder in US. And if the user tab this one like UK button, I can just say, this is just for demo, girl coder in UK. And if the user tab this third button, which is Canada, I can just say girl coder in Canada. Something like that. And if you rerun this one, and if you select US, girl coder in US, and if you give UK, girl coder in UK, and if you give Canada, girl coder in Canada. So in this way, we can use this string var. It depends upon the type of the interface or the type of the buttons that you're building. Like, just remember that string var actually takes string as input. Though you give integers, it's gonna take string as input. Int var actually just takes integers. The data will be taken as integers when it comes to int var. But when it comes to boolean var, you can just give 2 values, which is either true or false. And when you're creating when you're creating such kind of radio buttons using boolean var, just remember that it must be handling just 2 values, which is either 1 or 0. Just create 2 radio buttons with values 1 and 0. It's gonna work for us in that way. So yeah, this is all about radio buttons. I hope you guys learned something new about radio buttons when it comes to Tkinter. And yeah, I want you guys to practice more, to build more, to learn more about this radio buttons. Not only this radio buttons, these kind of concepts are also there in check button. I hope you guys understand. Yeah, that's all for today. In the next video, I'll go back with one more interesting Tkinter basics. If you like this video, then hit that cute little like button, and if you're new, then just go and tap the red button over there, subscribe button. And yeah, see you in the next video.